Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7 p.m. on LA56.
A tiny baby, barely 3 weeks old, the child kidnapped from Long Beach, her body found in a trash bin near San Diego, and the suspect is still at large.
A woman severely burned after being doused with gasoline, and police are now searching for her husband.
Governor Jerry Brown makes California history, taking the oath of office for a fourth and final term. Good evening, I'm David Ono.
I'm Ellen Leva in for Colleen Sullivan. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. Long Beach police want help tracking down the killer of a baby just 3 weeks old. The infant's body found near San Diego. Investigators believe the killer is the same man who entered a private home and shot the baby's mother, father, and uncle. Eyewitness News reporter Eileen Frere has the latest.
A woman sits and cries in her vehicle in front of the Long Beach home where a gunman shot and injured a family of 3, then kidnapped a 3-week-old girl, Elisa de la Cruz, Saturday night. The woman did not want to give her name, but she says she's Elisa's grandmother. The people shot her 2 sons and the baby's mother.
The father of the baby is okay. My other son is still in critical condition, as well as the mother. First of all, I thank everybody for all the prayers.
The body of Elisa was found Sunday, wrapped in a garbage bag, face down in a dumpster, more than 120 miles away in San Diego County.
It's heartbreaking for not only that family, but for everyone who knows them.
Friends stopped by to light candles outside the home.
This is very sad. This was no gang retaliation or no stupid cartel stuff, nothing like that. This was just hatred.
Police say they believe the family was targeted for some reason.
A lot of it is speculation on our part. It's very difficult for us, if you think about when we call this a horrendous crime, to think that somebody knocked on somebody's door, shot 3 people, and then took a baby out of the house. That isn't an everyday occurrence.
While police search for a motive, the victim's family also seeks answers.
We don't have no idea whatsoever. My family is a good people, working, studying, no trouble whatsoever.
Now, the suspect description is vague. He's described as an adult male with dark skin, African American or Hispanic. If you have any information, you can call LA Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. You can give information anonymously. In the meantime, we've learned that the LA County Board of Supervisors is expected to announce a $10,000 reward for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible. In Long Beach, Eileen Frere, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
2 men are in custody on murder charges in the fatal shooting of a man just after midnight on Cahuenga Boulevard and Selma Avenue in Hollywood. The 2 suspects are 22-year-old Troy McVeigh and 21-year-old Colby Cronholm. Police say they approached a man, demanded money, and then shot him several times. The victim later died at a hospital. Authorities have not yet released the victim's name, but he's described as being in his 50s or 60s, possibly a transient. An off-duty officer saw the shooting and chased down the suspects.
We saw a guy holding a gun in his left hand, pop, 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 4 pops, fire coming out of the gun, and we saw the homeless man like bouncing around almost like he was dancing and just fell into the ground.
The suspects are being held on $1 million bail each and are due in court on Wednesday.
A search is underway for the man accused of setting his wife on fire in front of their young children. She's hospitalized with significant burns. Happened in the 11,800 block of Broadway Road in Moore Park. Eyewitness News reporter Amy Powell spoke to a Good Samaritan who was able to help the victim.
31-year-old Juan Hernandez Soria is being sought on attempted murder charges. Authorities believe he doused his wife with gasoline and set her on fire. The attack happened around 4 this morning at the family's home on Broadway Road in an unincorporated area of Moore Park.
She was telling us that there was a fire and that she needs help.
The injured woman managed to call 911 and flag down a power crew working nearby.
You could tell she was badly burned on her head, her face, her arms, and upper body. And also, her kids were just freaking out.
The 29-year-old woman said the horrifying attack happened in front of the couple's 3 young children.
She had mentioned that her husband did it. Her husband set it on fire, and he took off.
Morales and his partner entered the house concerned that it might be on fire.
She said something about a fire or smoke inside the kitchen. So I brought the hose around, started hosing down the kitchen, and that's when I saw a gas can in there. We were trying to make sure the kids were all right, and because the kids were pretty scared and freezing, and she was freezing as well because she was badly burned.
A neighbor acquainted with the family was shocked by the news.
Yeah, we see them driving by all the time on their like four-wheelers and go-karts and all. They always seem like a happy family. It's really weird.
Soria is 5'7" and weighs about 200 pounds. He's believed to be driving a white 2005 Ford pickup with the California license plate number 86644S1. Amy Powell, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
And authorities say Soria might be armed. If you see him, call 911.
On a much brighter note, our weather has been wonderful. We've been thawing out the last couple of days, and here's Dallas Rains.
That's right, David. We had a little Santa Ana wind blow through Southern California today, and it allowed the temperatures to warm up nicely. I did see an 87-degree reading out at San Gabriel today. It's still nice and pleasant. 67 degrees right now in Van Nuys. Sun's been down a while. Wind out of the north at 15. That's that Santana wind we talked about. Humidity at 18%. And we look at the time-lapse today of the sunset. About the only thing we have as far as cloud patterns were some high cirrus clouds floating through the area. We have another couple of really good-looking days coming up, and then a change for the weekend. We'll look at that in just a minute.
All right, Dallas, thank you. Governor Jerry Brown has been sworn in for a record fourth term.
I, Jerry Brown,
do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
Governor Brown has achieved a fourth term, something that eluded his father, the other Governor Brown. After the swearing in, Governor Brown said many of the same problems that challenged the state also existed when his father took office 56 years ago.
There remains a challenge and elicit the best from us. To that end, over the next 4 years and beyond, we must dedicate ourselves to making what we've done work, to seeing that the massive changes in education, healthcare, and public safety are actually carried out and endure.
The governor also said the Affordable Care Act will require more state spending in the budget year to enroll millions of people.
The man accused of a deadly shooting rampage at LAX is not likely to go on trial until next year. Today, defense lawyers for Paul Ciancia told a federal judge they will try to meet the projected trial date of February 23rd, 2016. The judge had wanted a trial this year, but it will take significantly longer to prepare because the prosecution is seeking a death sentence if Ciancia is convicted. Ciancia is accused of shooting and killing a TSA agent and wounding 3 other people in November 2013.
First day of jury selection has ended in the trial of a surviving suspect in the Boston Marathon terror bombings. As ABC's Brian Ross reports, a huge pool of potential jurors has been summoned to court, where the now 21-year-old defendant faces a possible death sentence if he's convicted.
Potential jurors were told today they must forget images like this one and this one, allegedly showing Dzhokhar Tsarnaev as he placed one of the bombs in a backpack near the marathon finish line. Nearby, 8-year-old Martin Richard killed in the blast. And here, 2 brothers, J.P. and Paul Norton, each of whom lost a leg in the blast.
He knew when he dropped that backpack there was kids, women, families.
The mother of the 2 Norton brothers, Liz Norton, plans to be at the trial every day.
I think he's an animal. I want to see the death penalty.
In court today, the bearded 21-year-old Tsarnaev, dressed casually as if he were still a college student, watched as Judge George O'Toole addressed the first of some 1,200 potential jurors. The judge told them they have to be prepared to be fair and impartial, but also be able to impose the death penalty if they find the accused bomber guilty. Defense lawyers are expected to argue that Tsarnaev, who was captured while hiding in this boat,
he is moving. We have movement in the boat.
Only did what he did under the influence of his older brother, who died in a police shootout. But the jury will also see this bullet-pocked anti-American message that Tsarnaev allegedly scrawled on the side of the boat, saying, "The government is killing our innocent civilians." Tsarnaev does have some supporters, including a group of mostly teenage girls who call themselves the Joharians and defend him online, saying there is no proof he planted any of the deadly bombs.
That was Brian Ross reporting. Judge says it could take most of the month to pick a jury.
New York police say a 30-year-old man fatally shot his father, a hedge fund founder, inside his Manhattan apartment after the 2 argued over the son's allowance. 70-year-old Thomas Gilbert Sr. was shot and killed in his upscale New York apartment near the United Nations yesterday. Police say the son, Thomas Gilbert Jr., tried to make it look like a suicide. Authorities say the son went to his parents' home and asked his mother to go out to get him some food. The mother, seen here being led from the building, returned about 15 minutes later after getting a bad feeling.
She also found a gun resting on his chest with his left hand covering it. The gun laying where it was didn't seem as a self-inflicted wound that we've had in the past.
The law firm representing the son had no immediate comment.
An avalanche in the Austrian Alps claims the lives of two prospective members of the U.S. ski team. 19-year-old Bryce Assel of Utah and 20-year-old Ronnie Burlack of New Hampshire were in a group of 6 skiers that apparently set off the avalanche near the team's training base. The other 4 skied out of the slide and were not hurt. Officials say an avalanche alert has been declared for the area after days of heavy snowfall and mild temperatures.
Hundreds of New Yorkers have lined up today to pay respects to former 3-term Governor Mario Cuomo. The former governor's son, Governor Andrew Cuomo, arrived for the wake on Madison Avenue. Mario Cuomo passed away Thursday evening after hours after his son was sworn in for 2nd term. Democratic Senator Charles Schumer of New York described the elder Cuomo as an amazing guy who could bring opposing sides together. Cuomo's funeral is scheduled for tomorrow morning. Governor Andrew Cuomo posted his State of the State address set for Wednesday until later this month.
You've probably seen it on your Facebook timeline. What you need to know about the copyright posts that are going viral.
And some incredible video as a camera operator is knocked off his feet. What sent him flying?
Plus, a rare move from Britain's royal family. What it is saying today about the sex scandals focusing around Prince Andrew.
Look at that. A powerful explosion at a fireworks warehouse knocked the cameraman off his feet as fireworks shot out in all directions. It happened Sunday in Colombia, near the capital of Bogota. 2 people suffered minor injuries. It is thought there could have been up to 10 tons of fireworks stored in that warehouse. Officials are investigating the cause of the explosion.
The apparent closure of an exit off the 101 freeway is sparking legal action. A group behind the suit says the potential impact of the closure hasn't been properly studied. The Barham exit is at Universal City. Eyewitness News reporter Rudabeh Shabazi looks at the controversy and has reaction.
Dotting businesses off the Barham exit along the 101, signs railing against NBC Universal's expansion plans that will mean a permanent closure of the southbound Barham exit.
It's going to completely change the character of this neighborhood.
With this ramp closed, it means southbound drivers will have to exit north at Lankershim or drive 2 miles south to Highland, which is already a major artery and congested as it is.
To create a condition where there's 2.5 miles between exits, it's illogical. It doesn't make any sense.
Now a neighborhood association led by Hollywood Hills resident John Strazdas has filed a lawsuit to stop the closure. Along with NBC Universal, it names Caltrans, the city, and the county. The closure is planned for the end of this year and will be done to make room for a new on-ramp for the theme park on private property. Caltrans says they won't comment on pending litigation, but an NBC Universal spokesperson released a statement saying, quote, "The new southbound 101 on-ramp was fully vetted in the public through a 7-year environmental review process. We are confident that the courts will stand by city, county, and Caltrans approvals," unquote. But neighborhood businesses have a host of concerns.
The bigger man doesn't really care about small business like us. They just care about themselves.
The association says they also worry about emergency response times, traffic, and home values, and they're going to keep fighting to keep their off-ramp open. From Universal City, Rutabe Shabazi, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Let's talk about our weather because we've been really enjoying some wonderful temperatures lately. Here's Dallas.
That's right, David Nellen. And beautiful day today as temperatures climb downtown to 81 degrees, 13 above normal for this time of the year. And it was just last week that we had snow in Southern California. San Gabriel today, they had the highest temperature I could find at 87. Fullerton was 85. And down at Santa Monica, this is right on the pier, 77 degrees at the beach. At this moment, we're still very mild across the LA basin. 67 Van Nuys, 39 up at Big Bear Lake. It will cool off tonight into the 40s, but we will not see any 50s. High pressure located right over Northern California. And when you look at the satellite picture, you can really see the rotation of the clouds around this big high pressure zone. We call it an anticyclone. It's the opposite of a cyclone. So the winds are blowing around in a clockwise manner. That generates a Santana wind blowing through Southern California portions of the areas through the canyons. So again, this will be a very warm forecast for a couple of days because this high is really not going anywhere. You're going to enjoy that. It will break down as we head toward the weekend, but until then, it's all wonderful. Sunshine and blue skies. Tomorrow, low pressure moves through Chicago at 13. There's some cold Arctic air up here over Minnesota. That's the high in Bismarck. But if you're headed over to Las Vegas tomorrow with the high pressure centered in our area, look for sunshine at 66. Will also be sunny up in San Francisco at 60 degrees and out in the desert. It's nice out there at Phoenix at 72. So again, the whole southwestern U.S. just setting up for some really pretty weather. Here are the afternoon highs tomorrow. 74 Santa Clarita. Again, as I mentioned, it will be sunny across the area, but there will be some gusty winds blowing down through the Cajon Pass tomorrow. So our friends there, Fontana and Riverside, will have some gusty winds up to 25 or 30 miles per hour in the morning hours, but with that sunshine and blue skies and temperatures in the 80s, we can deal with a little bit of wind. Here's 7-day forecast then. 2 days of it, some high clouds starting to drift in on Wednesday and Thursday, and it will be a little bit cooler Thursday. And then by the weekend, a very weak weather system will be coming down the coastline, so we'll have a slight chance of showers or very, very light sprinkles. That would be it. And this may not even occur. Right now, I have it only at 20%. And as we get into Thursday and Friday for the weekend, we may be able to take it out completely. However, temperatures will be much cooler as we head into the weekend. The valley areas, 280s, then 65s for the weekend. And then in the beaches, beautiful weather next couple of days, but definitely cooling off for the weekend. And in the mountain areas, 61 in the mountain areas, and then cooling up for the weekend, maybe a flurry or two. Enjoy this great weather. It is wonderful, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah. Thank you, Dallas.
Okay.
A rare move from Buckingham Palace, issuing a public denial of sex crime allegations against Prince Andrew. The palace, which rarely comments on such matters, has issued 4 denials that Prince Andrew, 5th in line to the British throne, took part in a sex ring involving underage girls. Allegations come in a Florida civil lawsuit over an agreement prosecutors struck with billionaire Jeffrey Epstein, who pled guilty to solicitation of a minor for prostitution. A woman claims that as a teenager, Epstein forced her into sex slavery to please his powerful friends, including Prince Andrew and attorney Alan Dershowitz.
I am challenging her to file rape charges against me. I waive any statute of limitations, any immunity, because if she files a false rape charge against me, she goes to jail. I was his lawyer.
Dershowitz insists the allegations are false. He claims they are payback for him representing Epstein in the original case.
A reality TV star gets a big dose of reality. Today she began serving prison time for bankruptcy fraud. An attorney for Teresa Giudice, who gained fame on The Real Housewives in New Jersey, says she was upbeat and in great spirits as she reported to federal prison in Connecticut this morning. She was sentenced to 15 months for bankruptcy fraud. Her husband, Joe Giudice, is caring for their young daughters, and he will start his 41-month sentence on similar charges when she is released. He is not a U.S. citizen and is expected to be deported to Italy. Actor Dustin Diamond, best known as Screech from the show Saved by the Bell, has been ordered to stand trial in a Christmas Day stabbing. The 37-year-old Diamond is charged with felony reckless endangerment. Police say Diamond and his fiancée got into an altercation with two people at a Wisconsin bar. Diamond is accused of stabbing a man who was not seriously hurt. Diamond's attorney says no witnesses actually saw Diamond stab anyone. Diamond is free on bond.
'Tis the season for another Facebook copyright hoax. A bogus message claiming to protect users' media content has once again been making the rounds on the social network. Message claims to put copyright protections on a user's post after they share the status update. However, Facebook doesn't own your post. They simply have the right to distribute things you decide to share. So while nothing has changed about your Facebook profile, service providers say this is a good opportunity to double-check your privacy settings.
Coming up next, it's known as the most difficult rock climb in the world. Climbers scaling the steep granite of El Capitan in Yosemite without any ropes. How they're doing it and how they can sleep in there during the climb that will take several days to complete.
And a scary moment as an off-duty police officer accidentally shoots himself and is caught on camera. The details when we come back.
But first, do you have a question for LA Mayor Eric Garcetti? He'll be our guest on an upcoming edition of Eyewitness Newsmakers over on ABC7. And you can submit your question for the mayor or on ABC7.com/newsmakers and look for Mayor Garcetti to answer your questions on the show. Take a look at this. Pretty frightening. An off-duty police officer accidentally shot himself in the stomach while inside a parking garage elevator in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it was caught on surveillance video. The officer was headed back to his car after having dinner with his wife. Officer Daryl Jouette was adjusting his department-issued weapon in his holster when it discharged. Police say the bullet ricocheted off the elevator walls and struck him. He's expected to be okay.
Wow. Maybe the world's hardest rock climb, a half-mile free climb up the Dawn Wall of Yosemite's El Capitan. Two men are halfway there and somehow tweeting and posting on Facebook while they do it. If you've seen El Cap, you can just imagine scaling a sheer granite monolith 3,000 feet up using only hands and feet. And then at night, they're sleeping in a suspended tent. Kevin Jorgensen and Tommy Caldwell are trying to become the first to climb the wall this way without ropes except as a protection in a fall. As for all the social media, they did stop answering emails at 1,500 feet, and it's probably a good idea to focus on the climb. They could reach the top by week's end.
A Vancouver man is starting his own version of Trader Joe's in Canada. Mike Hallett is the owner of Pirate Joe's, and he says he was hooked on Trader Joe's, but they don't have them in Canada. So he decided to open his own store 3 years ago selling Trader Joe's products. He drives across the border to the Seattle area and loads up on merchandise.
There's a way to kind of go to a drift around from Trader Joe's to Trader Joe's, get carts full of groceries, get back in the van and carry on. And by the end of the day, you could have $5,000 worth of groceries.
Trader Joe's, which is based in California, sued in the state and federal courts, but both suits were dismissed. We tried contacting Trader Joe's, but have not yet been able to get that comment.
We're updating the evening's top stories next at 7:30, including the search for a suspect in the death of a 3-week-old baby.
And is the LA area one step closer to the return of an NFL team? Details on the new project designed to make it more enticing.
Plus, thieves break into the office of a local podiatrist and get away with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of signed music memorabilia. Why the doctor keeps the valuable merchandise on display.
live from ABC7. This is Eyewitness News at 7:30 p.m. on LA56.
Our top story at 7:30, Long Beach police are asking the public for help tracking down the killer of a 3-week-old baby. I'm Ellen Leyva, in for Colleen Sullivan.
I'm David Ona. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. The child was taken from a Long Beach home over the weekend. The baby's mother, father, and uncle were all shot. Little Eliza de la Cruz's body was found in a dumpster in Imperial Beach in San Diego County. Investigators say at this point they do not have a specific motive. Tomorrow, officials are expected to announce a $10,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest in this case.
Governor Jerry Brown has been sworn in for a record 4th term. At the age of 76, Governor Brown is the state's longest-serving and the nation's oldest governor. After being sworn in, Governor Brown called for state employees to help start pre-funding retiree health obligations and urged Republicans and Democrats to tackle the state's infrastructure needs and implement education, health care, and public safety reforms.
Exciting news here. Football fans, listen up. Could the Rams be returning to Southern California after all these years? As Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda reports, the owner of the team has joined a local developer to build a brand new stadium in Inglewood.
Could Rams football be back in L.A.?
I do think it's going to happen. I would be disappointed if it didn't. If the NFL messes this up, it's the right team, the right time.
He's confident because the owner of the Rams, Stan Kroenke, bought 60 acres of land next to the Forum, and he wants to join forces with the owner of the old Hollywood Park. It's called the City of Champions Revitalization Program, and the plan would build offices, a retail district, residences, a hotel, and an 80,000-seat sports venue. But they won't call it an NFL stadium.
The reason you see us being very careful in our word choice is we're trying to be incredibly respectful. The decision of any team that might play in LA is entirely in the hands of the NFL. This is their decision.
Kroenke is involved in a dispute with the city of St. Louis over the stadium in that city. He could move the team next year, but St. Louis plans to offer incentives to keep the team. City of Inglewood officials say this plan would not cost the city any tax money.
This proposal doesn't ask for, nor will ever be offered, any public funds. So the reality is what's going on is that you have a developer, Stan Kroenke, who is invested in Inglewood, and regardless, we're glad to have him here.
Rams fans who came out for today's announcement are glad as well.
It's going to happen. I believe it's going to happen. We've been waiting 20 years for them to come back, and they're going to come back home where they belong.
The issue has to go before Inglewood voters to approve combining the two properties into one project, and that could be on the ballot by June. Reporting from Inglewood, I'm Carlos Granda, ABC7, Eyewitness News.
We certainly should have a football team. We have the nicest weather. We wouldn't even have to have like an overhead dome or something, right, Dallas?
That's right. It's just completely open here in Southern California. The Rams could come back, and just a little wind tonight blowing through some of the canyon passes. It's a Santa Ana wind, but with that comes the warm temperatures. And on my 7-day forecast, we have 78 tomorrow, 77 on Wednesday. We'll start cooling off as we head toward the weekend. It's not going to be very much. And I did put a slight chance of some light sprinkles on Saturday and Sunday. Maybe nothing at all might occur. We may take that out once I get to Thursday and Friday. But at this point, it does look like a few clouds around for the weekend. But enjoy 80 degrees tomorrow. Not bad, huh?
That is great, Dallas. Thank you.
All right, Dave.
A bomb threat clears Beverly Hills High School so far. A search of the campus has turned up nothing. Around 11 o'clock this morning, someone called a bomb threat into the school on Moreno Drive. Police responded, and a sweep of the campus began. Students were taken to nearby Roxbury Park, but parents were asked to stay away from the park and the school. Classes were canceled for the day. Several hours later, Beverly Hills police reported nothing suspicious has been found.
A heartbreaking loss for Southern California doctor. Several $100,000 worth of rare memorabilia stolen from his office in Corona. Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan tells us the doctor is hoping to get all his collection back.
From the outside, it looks like any other doctor's office. But inside, it's more of a music history museum.
Yeah, I've been collecting for about 50 years now.
And Dr. Jeffrey Katz says, as strange as it sounds, all of these autographed albums from some of the biggest classic rock stars around help calm his patients.
Put them at ease, they get an idea of what the doctor does, and so it's been a great thing.
Well, it was a great thing. Now, these walls are empty. after a break-in over the Thanksgiving holiday.
Layla, Led Zeppelin albums, Taylor Swift album, everything from the Beach Boys.
All valued at nearly $250,000.
That's where they came in and dropped down, we think, in the office next door.
You know, they took computers, they took water bottles, they took random things, and then I think, because I refuse to believe it's a patient, that they saw some really nice albums on the wall and just took all those and really didn't appreciate the value of that.
But of the more than 6 albums that were taken from here, it was the stuff that was inside his office that he misses most. 8 autographed albums from Led Zeppelin, this one from the Beatles, and then a piece of signed sheet music from Bruce Springsteen.
The day we walked in the office was so somber.
It was never about the money. It was about the love of the music.
He's now offering a $5,000 reward, and he's very positive that he will get his valuables back.
I have tremendous faith in the goodness of man, so we'll see.
That's why they reached out to Eyewitness News to share this story. Meanwhile, Corona police are investigating. Rob McMillan, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
The group Black Lives Matter Los Angeles is calling for a meeting with Los Angeles Police Chief Charlie Beck over the Ezell Ford case. A group of protesters has been camped out at police headquarters in downtown L.A. for a week. They have called for the firing of the officers involved in last year's fatal shooting of Ford, who was unarmed, and for the DA to file murder charges. Ford's autopsy results were recently made public, but the shooting remains under investigation.
We have been here for 7 days. We have slept on the cold sidewalk for 6 nights because we are waiting to speak with Chief Beck.
We asked the LAPD to comment on the group's request, but have not yet heard back. And a member of the grand jury that decided not to charge a Ferguson police officer in the shooting death of Michael Brown is now suing in order to talk about this case. The ACLU says a juror has filed a lawsuit against the St. Louis County prosecutor. The jury is barred by Missouri law from speaking out about this case. The ACLU says a juror wants to speak out as part of a public dialogue. The decision sparked protests on race relations and police reform.
Investigators are hoping the 7-year-old survivor of a plane crash in western Kentucky might be able to shed some light on the cause of the crash. The remains of the plane are being moved to a location where officials with the National Transportation Safety Board can inspect the wreckage. Preliminary report on the crash is expected in about 10 days. The girl who survived freed herself from the wreckage and went for help walking 3/4 of a mile through woods before reaching the nearest house. Her parents, a sister, and cousin were all killed in the crash.
No signals have been heard from the black boxes from the Air Asia plane that crashed into the Java Sea more than a week ago. Bad weather has prevented ships from dragging ping locators. Today, a U.S. Navy helicopter unloaded what appears to be seats from the wreckage. Relatives were offered the opportunity to visit the site of the plane wreckage to say goodbye, and an Indonesian military aircraft transported 3 bodies in coffins. More than 160 people were aboard that flight from Indonesia to Singapore.
Sheriff's deputy makes a surprising discovery at a parking lot in Yucaipa, and still to come, we'll tell you what that deputy found and how a whole community is coming together to help.
And starting today, hikers can climb back up to the Hollywood sign, but people who live near the historic landmark aren't happy about it. Something that started as an act of kindness by a sheriff's deputy has turned into something much more.
As Inland Empire reporter Leticia Juarez shows us, an entire community is coming together to make sure a woman and her disabled son have a roof over their heads and beds to sleep in.
Joy Anderson has called room 16 at the UCal Motel home for the past month. How she got here is a story about a community coming together. Out of work and out of money, she and her son lived in this Honda Civic.
It was getting cold out there, and even though we had blankets and we had coats and things to cover up with, it just wasn't enough.
For months, she lived here, the park and ride off the I-10 in Yucaipa. Then shortly before Christmas, a deputy with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department checked in on her.
And she said, "Joy, we're going to help you. We're going to get you a motel room." That was amazing to me.
Her 4-day stay turning into much more.
Someone donated it to you and got you paid up till the 15th.
Residents like Melody Martindale learned of Anderson's story and wanted to do something. So she and others organized donations and a dinner fundraiser at this local eatery.
All funds that are raised from that spaghetti dinner will go to Joy to help her get a better home and a better living condition.
Anderson doesn't own much, but donations have been coming in the form of gift cards and a bank account.
We try to help out where we can. Honestly, it's been an outpouring from the community that's allowed us to be able to do that.
For Anderson, the outpouring is both overwhelming and unexpected.
How would I deserve it? I was living in my car, minding my own business.
She is now hoping she and her son will be able to find jobs in the new year. Anderson tells us that her wish for 2015 is not to end up at this park and ride again. In Yucaipa, Leticia Juarez, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
And if you're flying to Rome this week, you could have a chance at winning the Pope's car. Pope Francis is holding a raffle Thursday at the Vatican to raise money for the poor. The catch is you have to be there. The raffle tickets are only available at the Vatican. You can't buy them online. The top prize is Fiat Panda. Other items donated by the Pope include several bicycles, a camera, an espresso machine, a leather suitcase, and a Panama hat. All the money raised goes to charity. You look good in that hat.
Oh, sure. Head on Eyewitness News, another look at the forecast. Will the warm-up continue?
And we'll give you a taste of the new treats the Girl Scouts have this cookie season, how they're different from what you've seen before.
And an NFL coach who has guided his team into the playoffs this weekend talks about the fire that did an estimated $500,000 worth of damage to his house.
SpaceX, based in Hawthorne, will try to make history tomorrow morning during the launch of a resupply mission to the space station. An attempt will be made to return the first stage booster for refurbishing by landing it in upper power on a barge in the Atlantic. This video shows a previous mission where the booster did come back down with its engine firing before it splashed into the sea. If it works, the idea could lower the cost of space flights.
It looks very promising, actually. I'm going to be super excited if this works. But at the same time, I don't want to distract from, the main mission.
And that mission has taken on greater importance after the failure of another company's resupply mission to the station in October.
We've been enjoying a wonderful warm-up. I absolutely love this. Let's check in with Dallas Raines.
That's right, Ellen. David, we're down at Disneyland tonight. Skies are clear, and every once in a while, a little gust of Santana winds blowing through Orange County. And temperatures are still in the mid-60s, and at Van Nuys is 67. Wind north at 15, gust to 20. Again, with the Santana winds, they're not that strong, but they really elevated the temperatures today. Here are some of the highs. San Gabriel, 87. Santa Ana was 84. And Santa Monica, right down on the water, was 77 degrees today. Even Lake Arrowhead was in the upper 50s today. On the satellite view, we have a big ridge of high pressure along the west coast. When you look at the jet stream pattern, it almost comes from the north to the south, like this along the west coast. And anytime we're set up with this pattern, it is a very dry scenario. Remember, we've had basically 2 years of this type of weather pattern. However, it does look like at the end of about the 15th to the 18th of the month, we could be looking at a change in the jet stream pattern, which would bring some rain and snow into Southern California, but not right now with that ridge of high pressure. So enjoy that. Around the area tomorrow, Las Vegas, sunshine and 66. Salt Lake City looking nice at 51 degrees. If you headed to San Francisco, sunny and 60. So all of the Southwest under clear skies because of that high pressure area. Overnight lows tonight are much more mild than they have been. Temperatures staying in the 40s for the most part in the LA basin. Inglewood 50, Malibu 50. Then the highs tomorrow just a lot like today. Some low 80s from the valley areas around Moore Park and Northridge, 81, 82. Anaheim also there. And then down at the beaches, another good-looking day with temperatures at least in the 70s tomorrow, and then 76 at Beaumont. Here's a 7-day forecast. Looks like mostly sunny skies. Just some high clouds drifting by for color. On Wednesday, high of 77. Then we start cooling off for the weekend. A very weak weather system will come in on Saturday and Sunday. At this point, I have a slight chance of a few light sprinkles around, but we may take that out of the forecast as we get a little closer to it. But at this time, it does look like temperatures will be cooler across Southern California. So enjoy a couple of days of 80s. And then a cooling trend starting on Thursday, Friday, and lasting through the weekend. At the beaches, 73 to 75, cooler for Thursday, and then a much cooler weekend at the beaches with highs only about 60 to 61 at the beaches. In the high desert, great looking weather. 61, 60, and then temperatures fall as we head to the mountain areas, about 45 degrees there, and then to the high desert, 64 tomorrow, 64 Wednesday, and then only 58 with scattered clouds on Saturday and Sunday. Enjoy 2 more days, Ellen and David, of the really warm weather, way above normal.
That's awesome. We will enjoy it. Yep. Love it. Thanks, Dallas. Okay. In sports, usually you can't blame the outcome of a game on one play, though Detroit Lions fans feel that they have a case after a blown call in yesterday's playoff loss to the Cowboys. The NFL's head of officiating, Dean Blandino, says the Cowboys should have been penalized for holding on this play involving linebacker Anthony Hitchens and Brandon Pettigrew. A flag was thrown, but was later waved off. Blandino said he would have supported a penalty against receiver Des Bryant for arguing the call on the field. And for people watching, an explanation by the referee would have been nice, but there wasn't one. So instead of having a first down, the Lions had to punt, but the Cowboys ended up scoring the winning touchdown. The Carolina Panthers have the daunting task of playing the reigning Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks in Seattle on Saturday. The last thing Panthers coach Ron Rivera needed was a distraction. Well, he got one. His home in Charlotte suffered more than $500,000 damage because of an early morning fire caused by embers from a smoldering fireplace. Rivera, his wife Stephanie, and his 2 brothers and their wives were all in the house at the time. They all got out safely, as did the family pets.
Pets were easy. They wanted to go outside and play. But getting everybody up and getting everybody dressed and outside was a little bit of a task. Just because it was so early and it was, everybody was groggy. But I will say this, the piercing sound of the smoke detector, the fire alarms going off, really wakes you and gets your adrenaline going. And I can't stress how important it is to have that in the house.
1 week from tonight, the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Oregon Ducks will square off in Arlington, Texas, in the first ever NCAA playoff championship game. Don't forget you can watch the game on ESPN or the Watch ESPN app. And near Toledo, there's an Ohio city by the water named Oregon. The mayor of Oregon, Ohio, says there are so many Ohio State football fans in his city, he's decided to change the name of the town, but just temporarily. Starting today, he's declared it will be the Ohio State Buckeye Week in Oregon. The town's new slogan will be Oregon, Ohio State Buckeyes by the Bay, City of the Duck Hunters. Lakers and Clippers are both in action tonight. The purple and gold are without Kobe up in Portland, while the Clippers welcome the Atlanta Hawks, the best team in the Eastern Conference currently at Staples. And we'll have all the highlights at Eyewitness News at 11 p.m. on ABC7.
Beechwood Canyon entrance to a trail that leads to the iconic Hollywood sign is now reopened to pedestrians. Eyewitness News reporter Mark Cotorobles explains residents had complained of the traffic, so that gate was closed back in March.
Janae Willis says she's been waiting 9 months for this day.
Perfect day for a hike. Yeah, we loved it.
She admits she actually moved from the Beechwood Canyon area because it was a little crazy. Now she's just glad the trailhead leading to views of the famous Hollywood sign in Griffith Park is now back open.
Because it's my favorite spot to hike in LA.
This newly installed electric gate limits the car traffic going up the trail. The entrance was closed in March of last year after many neighbors had complained of the heavy traffic from all the cars parking and trying to navigate the windy road. Some think that this is not much of a solution.
What we now have is a gate for people to walk up, but we have no infrastructure, no toilets, no water, and there's still the smoking concerns and the fire concerns. It's a very narrow street.
We met some hikers, mostly tourists, who had no idea the trail was the focus of local controversy and had just reopened. Did you know that?
No, I know. No, really? Oh, we don't.
So that's good timing.
Yeah.
This is my first time here, so I'm actually excited to go around and take a few pictures and, post them on Facebook for everybody.
The new gate is designed to protect the community and park property during closed hours, while neighbors say this 24/7 security guard has been planted at the top of the street since last spring. Was it fair for people to complain who lived here?
I get why they did, yeah.
And now city officials are encouraging hikers that want to get a view of the Hollywood sign to use a path that begins at the Griffith Observatory. The park, meantime, remains open 5 a.m. to sunset. Reporting from Hollywood, I'm Mark Cotorobles, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
And we'll be right back. It was a successful Labor Day weekend because of a music festival in downtown LA. The Made in America event at Grand Park generated $14.7 million in economic activity for the city. That's according to a study released today by the Impact of the event. It drew about 30,000 people on each of the 2 days it was held. Mayor Eric Garcetti, who pushed for the festival to be held at Downtown Park, was among those calling it a major success.
These are exciting times for fans of Girl Scout cookies. The Scouts have added 3 new varieties. For now, they're part of a pilot plan and only available while supplies last, but here they are. Raw raisins, an oatmeal cookie that includes chunks of Greek-flavored yogurt, and something new, 2 gluten-free cookies, Trios, a peanut butter cookie made with chocolate chips and certified gluten-free whole grain oats, and Toffee-tastic, I think is how they say it. Toffee-tastics. Also gluten-free, buttery cookies with bits of toffee. So when can you get some? Well, this year's Girl Scout Cookie Weekend will take place the last Friday in February and run through Sunday, March 1st. Thousands gathered in Mexico City's Zocalo Square today, where a giant rosca de reyes, or Three Kings pastry, was cut up and handed to everyone to taste. 2,000 cooks helped bake the giant pastry to celebrate Three Kings Day, which is actually tomorrow. The pastry weighs more than 19,000 pounds. It wrapped around the historic square and was divided into 200,000 portions, which were handed out to the public along with a glass of milk. According to Christian tradition, January 6 marks the arrival of 3 wise men bearing gifts for the baby Jesus.
Human settlement on planet Earth usually stops at the water's edge, but that could soon change. Japan's Shimizu Corporation has come up with a plan for an underwater city. The concept is making waves in design circles. Shimizu wants to build a $26 billion giant sphere underwater. The sphere is actually an underwater city. Could be tethered to the ocean floor and essentially float underwater like a spaceship.
Not for me.
Not for me either.
Thanks for joining us for Eyewitness News at 7:30 and LA56. Law and Order SVU is coming up next.
Eyewitness News continues at 11 p.m. on ABC7 and anytime on ABC7.com. Have a great night.